Alright guys, welcome to Unit 4.1. This is what you are supposed to put in your Google Slide. When you get done, make sure you submit them, okay? There is a complete set of notes as well that I put in the Google Classroom for you, so you can either do the notes, the completed notes to finish your Google Slides, or you can fill it in with us. Alright, so let's get started. Okay, Unit 4.1, one-step equations and inequalities. Equations and inequalities, okay? So today, this assignment was for Tuesday. So, your objective, students will be able to solve one-step equations and inequalities. And you guys are also going to learn to know the work. All right, here we go. So the two words you guys are learning, okay, is the word simplify and the word solve. In simplifying, you do it in an expression. Remember, the word expression has no equation. And basically, you are going to just combine like terms. This is stuff that you have done before and we had a test over. All right. The word right here is the word solve. Ignore that. The word solve is to where you want to isolate the variable. Remember what the word variable means? It means just a letter. And what you do is you will use the opposite, okay? In order to solve, it has to be an equation. And how do you know it's an equation? It has an equal sign or an inequalities. I will not give you guys Tuesday to work on this. This is it. So in an equality, you would have a less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. So all you have to do for that one is type that in and put a line, add a line, type that one and put in a line, okay? All right. Now in your Google Slides, you should have each one of these. We're going to learn the word inverse. In Spanish, the word for that is inverso, or the word opposite, which is opuesto. I hope I say that correctly, opuesto. All right, so you got add. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the word add, okay? Synonyms. The word synonyms means you have the same meaning. So all these words is a synonym, such as the word total, plus, positive, okay? Sum, increase, usually you say increase by, altogether, or sometimes together. All these means add. All right, let me see. Yep, all of these means add. Sometimes you see the word addition. An inverse of adding is subtraction. And you'll learn other words for that as well. So for example, if you have x plus 3 equals 4, what would you do right there? You would subtract 3. So it'll be a minus 3. Okay. The opposite for the next one, or the inverse of the next one that we are going to touch on is the word subtract. Okay, so the word subtract. For subtraction, the following are synonyms for subtraction. Minus, that's the most common one. Negative, decrease by, okay. Remain, take away, all right. Some other words is what's left, or just left, really, okay. Less than is another one. Some words such as how many more? All this means subtraction. Sometimes you'll see the word fewer or the word further. So anything that pretty much ends in an ER. You're comparing, so you're going to subtract. Opposite of an inverse is you add. Okay. Now, an example would be x minus 3 is equal to 4. So how would you solve for x? You would add 3. You will always add or subtract if you have two terms, two or more terms, 1, 2. Never multiply or divide. All right. Next slide. The next thing we're going to touch on is the word multiplication. So multiply. All right. So we're going to learn about the inverse of multiply. Another word for inverse is the word opposite. All right. Synonyms for the word multiply. The most common ones you hear is the word times. You may see the word like product. Okay. Sometimes you see the word total, equal groups, a common one you may hear is the word twice, increase twice, or twice means you multiply it times 2, okay? Sometimes you may hear the word triple. Triple means you multiplying it by 3. And sometimes you hear the word quadruple, but we're not going to take it further than that, and that one is increasing by 4. Let's get off your phone, do your work. Okay? Use this time wisely. All right, an inverse of multiplying is divide. For example, say you have 3x is equal to 9. See how that's one term, 3x? So what would you do here? You would divide by 3. All right, we're not going to do the math. I just want you to know how to do it, okay? Inverse of the next one, or the opposite that we haven't covered yet. We did adding, subtracting, multiplying, and now we are going to do divide. You finish? Turn it in the basket. The synonym for divide goes by quotient, each, share equally, half. That means you divide by 2. Okay? An inverse of divide is multiply. So for example, if you have a problem like x divided by 3, this here you can actually write x divided by 3, but it's harder to type that on a computer, equals 9. So what would you do here? See how it's divided by 3? So you would multiply by 3. Okay? Alrighty. Now, your goal, this is your goal every single time. Okay? Let me pull this up real quick. Here are the goals. Okay. Let me pull it up so that way I can have the same one for everyone of you. Your goal is to get the variable that you are solving for by itself on one side of the equation. To eliminate a term on one side of the equation, you are using the opposite mathematical operation. Okay. whatever you do to one side of the equation, you must do to the other side of the operation. This keeps the equation balanced. That means they're equal, okay? Always check your answer by substituting the value back into the original equation. All right, so there is pretty much your notes for today, okay? Now, in the next slide, what I am going to do is this. We're going to talk about how would you do this. You don't have to tell me the answer. So if you look at this problem, you have 1, 2. So what would you do here? You would minus 3. Subtract 3, okay? Let's look at this example. You got 1, 2. You're solving for y. How do you get rid of that 5? You are going to minus 5, or subtract 5. This example, if you see something like this, every time you have those two, we write them as 1. Positive times a negative is negative. And now what would you do here? You would add 4. Okay, don't give me the answers. I just want to know what you're supposed to do. Jonathan, do your work. Okay. 3x equals 7. Do you see how that's multiplied? So how would you do this one? You would divide by 3. Okay. Let's take a look at this one. This is m divided by 4 equals 7. You see how that's one term? This is your division sign now. No more this little dot thing, okay? What is opposite of dividing by 4? You would multiply by 4. Okay? Let's look at this one. Now we are talking about an inequality. Okay? So if you have 4a is greater than 20, this is 4 times a, you would divide by 4. All right? Now let's take a look at this one. Negative 4c is less than 28. Anytime, I want you guys to make a note. When multiplying or dividing by a negative, okay, switch the inequality sign. You might want to underline the word switch. Oops, sorry. Another word for switch, you may see the word flip, okay? Means the same thing. So what would you do right here? You would divide by negative 4, and then you do what? Switch the sign. Okay, so you have to do those things. All right, so here's your assignment. Solving one-step equations and inequalities, number 1 through 84. Okay. I am going to do a video for part A and part B of the ones we did in class, so at least you know how to do it. So this will be day 1 of your notes.